Whatever you're into when it comes to sports, you can find it right here. Now, play my intro. Now it's time for the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Larry Patterson, what's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Back after 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 weeks. Went to Charlotte for ACC Media Day, and quite frankly, I just never recovered. And then, life happened. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we are back in this thing for episode 67. What's been your just your overall thing going on with sports so far? What's been your feeling?
You got the MLB race coming down. We got another month or so. You got the whole September. So that race, as always, it's gonna be heating up. You got preseason football, and I'm gonna touch on that later on in the show. Toward the end of the show, I got my opinion about that.
Definitely.
Got the USA team winning gold. So with the Paris Olympics, and so I mean, hey man, got college football coming up, man.
Exactly.
This is my favorite time of the year.
Exactly. So let's touch on the subject today. As of right now, the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees are 70 and 49. They are tied up top of the AL East. The Boston Red Sox are 7.5 games back. Give me your opinion, Larry, right now. What you see, what's going on between this race between the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees?
This is one of those races that's going to be coming down to the wire. To what here, that last week or so, I can see these two teams battling. I forgot how many more games they got against each other, but I know those games will be very critical. You're going to have to that matchup right there, and whoever wins those matchups going into is going to be one of those teams that make a deep run in the playoffs. I feel like
they face them on September the 24th through the 26th, and it's going to be at Yankee Stadium. So basically, it's going to come down to that, and it's going to be at the Yankees. The Orioles going to be at the Yankees. Going to be at the Minnesota Twins. So basically, that's how the Orioles going to end their season. When you talk about the New York Yankees, you're talking about a team that when they end their season after they play the Baltimore Orioles, they're going to play against the Pirates at home. So to me, that's honestly something where the Yankees are going to have the easier road. But I really don't know. I really don't know like how things are going to go because I personally want to see the Yankees and Aaron Judge continue to play good baseball throughout the season and whatnot. And I think he will. The Orioles' top pitcher is injured right now. I think he's 13-4, something like that. So they're going to have to get healthy, and it's going to be a big time race going down the stretch because there are a lot of teams on their tail right now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, with their top ace being hurt right now, that tends to be like the twirl of the season right there. You lose your top ace. The other team that's been, the Yankees that's been back for a couple of weeks, but they held on to the AL East for a minute until it wasn't that far of a margin, but the Orioles was always right there. You lose your top ace, and now the Yankees about to get hot again. What are we looking at? They 6-4 in their last 10. But this type of run right here that the Yankees are going on, I think they swept the Rangers over the weekend, I believe, right? Or they might have snagged. I know they snagged two, but yeah, it's races like this that are But there's races like this that are going to be exciting going down to the wire. I also like to see Boston, who's 7.5 games back. I like to see that too. So you got plenty of time for that.
Okay, so Grayson Rodriguez, he's projected to come back in September. How huge is it, in your opinion, for him to come back for the Yankees? Because he is, like I said, one of their top aces. So, I mean, for the Baltimore Orioles, how critical is it for him to come back and have that September stretch? And do you think it's even important for the Orioles to win the division? You know, last year they won the division. You know, they got, they did win the division last year, if I'm correct, right? They won the division, and then they lost to I believe, the Rangers in the first, and they lost to the Rangers. You know, so is it more important for the Orioles to win the division, or is it more important for the Orioles to get in and be hot? Do you think?
If you're the Orioles, you want to win the division. You want to win the division and get whatever advantage that you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the Yankees, they got a little bit more experience, so
Okay.
they can afford to go and be a wild card. They were a wild card team, so they can afford to go in and be a wild card team and have their
Mm-hmm.
backs against the wall and all that. So I think for Baltimore, you will want to win the pennant, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Now let's get to another race. Let's get to the NL West, in a race that I don't think anybody thought would come down to this, but it did. You have the Los Angeles Dodgers only 2.5 games up on the only 2.5 games up on the Padres. I'm sorry, yeah, no. Now it's the Diamondbacks. My numbers are wrong. They're now 3.5 games up on the Diamondbacks and the Padres. In your opinion, are the Dodgers in trouble, even with Mookie Betts being out? I mean, this is wild. I mean, they were supposed to run away with this division. For a lot of experts' opinions, they were supposed to run away with this division, hide, and win over 100 games. They have a super team, blah blah blah. But they're not running away with it, Larry. And Mookie Betts' worth is showing up very big here.
Exactly. So he's returning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be huge for them.
Let me ask you this: who's more dangerous to the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks or the Padres? Both have won 8 out of the last 10.
I know the Diamondbacks coming off of the postseason run, and they are a dangerous team. But I'm telling you right now, like the Padres are a team. I said this the other day. The Padres are a team that you don't, and really both of them. But I just feel like my personal opinion with the Padres, like
Mm-hmm.
they just seem like a team that you just don't want to face going there. In the stretch of the season, going into the playoffs, they just seem like a real red hot team right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now they did lose to the Marlins today. Speaking of the Marlins, what is up with the feisty Marlins? You know, their payroll went down to $15 million, and they just been playing tough. I mean, they got the Phillies. They got the Phillies upcoming on Tuesday. I mean, it's almost like they are the worst team to play this time of the season because they're pesky. You know, they're pesky. They shouldn't be winning. They should be tanking, and they're just like staying in all these games. So, what do you think about the Marlins and just their overall fight right now, man?
They got nothing to play for. And,
Nothing.
traded Jazz Chisholm, traded him away, just trade everybody away, and it's like that's when you start becoming red hot.
Yeah, yeah, and you look at it, you know, they did lose a series against the Padres, but they have 2 against the Phillies, they have 3 against the Mets, and they have 3 against the Diamondbacks. These teams are all in playoff contention. Then you got the Giants. They have 2 games against. They got the Giants again, the Phillies. They have the Dodgers, the Braves, all these teams down the stretch. So it's like it's just one of those teams that you are so desperate that you want to make the postseason. But when you face a team like this who has nothing to lose, but a team who also plays well when their backs against the wall. I mean, these are the 2-time defending champions since '97. A lot of teams can't even make that claim in Major League Baseball. So I mean, they're still a proud organization. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, they going through their little growing pains right now.
Mm-hmm.
They still some
No, go
reason it's all about like how you talk. I know this is way like the Giants and the Red Sox. It's just for some reason those teams that had success in the postseason,
yeah.
like they're going through their time that they're going through with the losing seasons or whatever. It's something in that organization that makes them who they are. And you wouldn't be surprised within a couple years or so if that winning tradition, starts to pick up again.
Yeah, let's go to some other divisions. The Guardians lead the Twins by 3.5. The Royals by 4 games. The Astros and Seattle Mariners are deadlocked almost. The Astros are up a half a game now. The Mariners are in a fight right now, 1-1 against the Mets. We'll see how the game goes. I think they're about to go to the 5th inning, so we'll see how that goes. The Phillies, of course, are up 7.5 games on the Braves. They should win that division. The Brewers are up 7.5 on the St. Louis Cardinals. And, of course, we talked about LA Dodgers and their struggles lately. Now, the last subject I'm going to talk about before we get to college football, Larry, is this. The Cincinnati Reds are 10.5 games out, right, of the division lead. They are, let's see here, 4.5 out of the wild card. Do you think it's going to be a situation? It's not if, it's when Ellie De La Cruz's contract ends that he leaves for another team, because Cincinnati used to be the creme de la creme of baseball, and now it just feels like they just exist. And you already wasted Mike Trout all those years by not getting him out of Anaheim. You don't want to mess up what this guy can bring to the game and the excitement.
Hell,
You
you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to talent like that. I mean, you already wasted Joey Votto, Tucker Barnhart. What's my man last name? Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
King Griffey.
Ken Griffey Jr. He went all the way. He went home to Cincinnati, and it was a complete disaster. It was a complete disaster. Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at this national league wild card race, and we talked about this throughout the season. Go ahead and check those episodes. Those episodes back then. We talking about this. We keeping up with this baseball thing. So remember the Braves were like the first wild card team, and they were there for like a minute. And
they were up 8, 9 games, something like that, 7 games, and now it's reduced to basically nothing.
Yeah, you basically on the outside looking in, and if the Mets lose tonight, that I guess you can kind of call yourselves in there. But I mean, that right there, I can see changing on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Braves were just down like a game and a half a couple of nights ago. Then they're back into the fold, even though they've been horrible. And I thought, like I said, I thought we would bring this up as well. Marcell Ozuna, he's got to be in the MVP race, because I understand everybody wants to just give it to Shohei Ohtani, and these numbers may be a little off right here, but because I know they had the game today. But when I checked the stats, did my homework earlier today, the next closest person in RBIs to Ozuna was 30 away, 90 to 60. The second closest in home runs was minus 15. It was minus 15. Ozuna has 35. Next closest guy had 20. So he's basically been saving this team. He's basically been doing everything that he needs to do to make sure this team stays afloat. Would you put him at the top of the MVP race? Because honestly, ever since Acuna went out, who else have they had, Larry? Who else have they had?
Damn right. He been hit like that all season. For people that really been paying, I know you a Braves fan, so paying attention. But he been hitting like that all season, just like you said with the numbers that you just called out.
Yeah. And I'm biased one, because I said at the beginning of the season that the Phillies were the best team in the NL East, and I didn't budge off that. I haven't budged off that. Not only do they have a payroll, they have really good players. And a lot of players are top 5, top 10, etc. So I mean, just being honest, And plus, when you're the Braves, and the Braves went through a tough stretch, man. 7-0 to the Marlins, 10-0 to Milwaukee, 8-5 to Milwaukee, 16-7 Milwaukee. They lost to Colorado 6-5. They finally won yesterday, but then they lost today. So they've been going through a tough stretch. They've been going through a hell of a stretch.
Ozuna hitting 301.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, especially in this baseball climate, especially how good some of these pitchers are. Especially how really good the game. If you remember back in the summer of what was it, 98, it was the chicks dig the long ball. Now it's who can pitch the best. And the thing is, these guys aren't even pitching 9 innings anymore. So just imagine if they were pitching 9 innings. That's the thing. Imagine if they were pitching 8 to 9 innings. what the numbers would really be. You know what I mean? Like the strikeouts, blah blah blah. So yeah, the game has definitely changed. The game has definitely changed. Now let's get to some college football here. As we won't be here too long tonight, guys. But let's get to some college football. Larry, basically, let's go down from the bottom to the top. Give me your quick prediction of the game. We got Delaware State against Hawaii. I got Hawaii by 50. Who you got?
Hawaii by 70.
Oh my gosh! Don't say it's not 70. We gotta still represent for the HBCU, man. Come on now. SMU, who Larry, they're a dangerous team. I continue to tell people this. SMU don't disappoint me. They got defense. They got offense. Coach Brett Lashley, he was former offensive coordinator at the University of Miami. He has weapons upon weapons at SMU. The old Pony Express may be back, except this time it's legal. Yeah, I got SMU winning this game, man. I got SMU winning this game by a good margin, maybe 15, 20 points, something like that. What you got?
Yeah, SMU, one of them teams, 11-3 last season. Preston Stone had over 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns in 12 games. So
and their backup quarterback is really good as well. So they got everything. And then they got the Miami transfer on defense. He was at ACC Media Day. Big dude, fast. I mean, they got everything, man. They got speed. SMU's got speed amongst speed. That's all I can tell, folks. So I got SMU. And how much? What do you have the margin for SMU? How many points do you think they'll win by?
Probably 30. I say 30.
About 30. Nevada's still a tough team. And you still got to go to Nevada. Nevada's still a tough place to go to. So like I said, I'll give it 10 to 15 points. Montana State against University of New Mexico. This would be a tough game for Montana State. I'll give it to University of New Mexico. No, you know what? I'll pick Montana State. I'll pick Montana State on the road. I'll give it to them by 6 points, 6 to 10 points.
I'll go with New Mexico.
New Mexico, okay. So now let's go to the feature game of basically week one. These basically, folks. These are the games on August 24th. Next week we'll get to the games on August 29th, as we already talked about those before, but we'll get even more in depth. Next week will be basically NFL, and we'll be getting into college football in depth. But we got Florida State against Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. This game is interesting for me, Larry, in a few ways. All right, you lose Jordan Travis from Florida State, right? And you bring DJ Uiagalelei in and he went to Clemson, then he went to Oregon State. They got to replace a lot of stuff. And Florida State is very talented. At ACC Media Day, listen to Coach Norvell. This team is very interesting. And they could go from possibly winning only 8 to 9 games to being in the college football playoff. Like, they have a lot of good possibilities. Their backfield with Benson and the crew, their backfield is going to be absolutely awesome. But let's talk about what I want to talk about is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's offense, man, they're loaded. They're bringing back basically 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. They're bringing back their starting quarterback. They're bringing back all their receivers. And I believe they average 203 yards per. I'm going to say this off the top of my head because I looked at the stat earlier. If I'm wrong, forgive me. 203.8 yards per game rushing. They led the country in last year in rushing. Georgia Tech is a dangerous team. I don't know if they are going to beat Florida State or not, but I think that Florida State is going to. I think Florida State is going to be in the fight of their lives. I'll tell you that. The Yellow Jackets they gave up. What is this? Let me read this. Let's see here. The new defensive coordinator will implement a 4-2-5 base defense and try to improve the Jackets unit that gave up 201.3 yards per game on the ground last year. So basically, it's like this. Whoever runs the ball for 300 yards is going to win the game. Whoever runs for 300 is going to probably win the game, bro. Because I'm telling you right now, Florida State's got a lot to improve on. They have a lot to, replace on their defense. But like I said, their offense is explosive. Their offense is hella explosive. So, like I said, man, the first one at 300 yards is going to win this game. So, in my opinion, I have to give the game to Florida State. But I think that Georgia Tech is going to make this game very interesting. If this game was at Tech, I would pick Georgia Tech, but I'm picking Florida State to win this game a nail biter, 24-20. No, that's too close. I'm gonna give it to Florida State 35-32 in a last second field goal.
Florida State was ranked 70th in the nation in run defense, giving up 152.3 yards per game.
And their defense didn't get better; it got a little bit worse, in a sense.
Exactly. So when you look at a team like Georgia Tech, who over the past few years, if you've been watching Georgia Tech football, like they run the football.
Oh, trust me, I watch Georgia Tech football. They break Miami Hurricanes' hearts every 2 to 3
They
years.
were ranked 12th last year in running the football. So when you say that they will give Florida State some problems,
they will.
And maybe it's first half problems, maybe it's 3/4 problems, but I think that Florida State, will come out on this one.
Get a score?
I got confidence in Florida State.
What's your score? I said 35-32. I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. I'll be very surprised if this thing was a blowout. And look, unless DJ comes out and he like loses his mind and he does some crazy stuff, I gotta give it to Florida. I gotta give it to Florida State, man. But a close game. Those guys are focused.
24-13.
24-13. I will say this though: if Florida State comes out pissed off, like I know they will, and they don't let their emotions get to them too much, they could win this game by more than 3 points. But like I said, that Georgia Tech offense, man, you just can't deny it. Like they got a lot of speed. Man.
Led by Haynes King, who was a passer over 2,700 yards, 648 yards. Your quarterback has to run in the system. But
former Texas Tech QB as well. I'm sorry, Texas A&M QB.
Yeah, but he threw 16 interceptions. So you gotta cut down
on that. I mean, listen, when I was at ACC media, I'm not bragging, folks. I'm just saying I was at ACC media day. I know these days when people say you go somewhere, you do something, you think you're bragging. No, I'm just saying what I did. I felt like Georgia Tech had a lot of confidence. I feel like Haynes King feels that he needs to be the reason this team starts to get to the next level. Yes, they're going to run the football. They have absolute grown men on the outside and in the backfield. But he's got to be the anchor, man. He's got to be the anchor for that team. And like I said, you're coming out against a Florida State team that's going to be really pissed off. A Florida State team that feel like they were wronged. A Florida State team that feel like that they were not done right. You know what I'm saying? So and Florida State, honestly, in the whole ACC, you're going to have to win by style points because you know that the college football playoff, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want who in the college football playoff? The Big Ten and the SEC. That's what they want. They won't tell you that, but that's what they want. They won't tell you that, but that's what they want. They don't want the ACC in there. Why do you think people suing the ACC to get out of the league? Which was a big topic again at ACC Media Day.
Big Ten and SEC is the only thing that matters.
Yeah. But, man, my thing, man, I didn't ask no questions about that, man, because, honestly, I think the ACC has such a great tradition, but we've lost so many great rivalries over the years with the Marylands and Dukes, and just overall, like college football, we lost so many great rivalries. So, hopefully everything goes well with that. Now, let's get to our next topic, and this is where we're going to talk about some football, Larry. We're going to talk some NFL preseason football. I know some people say, oh, it's preseason, who cares? No, the preseason matters, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go by each game and talk about that game. Just give me your quick points on what you think. So let's go to the Carolina Panthers and New England Patriots. My biggest takeaway, and I'll continue to say this, Zappy is a type of quarterback they're going to have to trade because somebody's going to want him. And Joe Milton, he could be the best quarterback on the roster. He could be the best quarterback on the roster. Your takeaway and your thoughts on that real quick and your takeaway.
Joe Milton, you seen that dart that he threw, that touchdown?
Yeah,
4 for 6, 54 yards and a touchdown. He also carried the ball 5 times for 22 yards. I like Joe Milton. I like Drake May. What was he? 2 for 3.
yeah.
Uh,
He didn't look sharp at all. He looked, and that's the thing. This is the thing. The thing about preseason is you have some guys who look really, really good and then look bad in the offs and look bad in the regular season. Yeah,
yeah,
some guys who look really bad in the preseason but look good in the regular season. Look at C.J. Stroud from last year. I've just never looked at him and seen him as the guy that I think can lead his team to something great. Even at North Carolina, man, he had his moments where I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Drake, man? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
and that
Did you? Yeah,
that
go
two
ahead.
for 3 was basically just the
Yeah,
so he
basically.
didn't really show me anything, but Joe Milton, I like what he's shown. New
Oh
England
yeah.
defense,
Oh, most
he
definitely.
put him cream of the
Yeah,
crop. Five
for
sacks on the so yeah.
for sure. And as far as the Panthers, I saw nothing. Like, this is my problem, man. Okay, Patrick Mahomes just won a freaking Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl. Why isn't Bryce Young on the field? Why isn't Bryce Young on the freaking field? You do not. I don't understand this. Bryce Young should be on the field getting reps with his starters. He did not have a good year last year. Not all his fault. Not all his fault. Because Carolina's been a crap show since Mr. Richardson left the building because of some allegations, blah, blah, blah. Same thing going on with the Suns, with the Phoenix Suns. They lose their owner. Guess what happens? They start crumbling. The Panthers have been crumbling for years. You should be out there. And I'm going to speak on some other teams as well and here in a
Yep.
few minutes. But if you're the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young should be playing. Joe Burrow played. He's accomplished more than you. Patrick Mahomes played. He's won 3 Super Bowls. I'm being serious about this, man. The Panthers are showing me they're not serious. They're not serious.
Yeah.
You're not serious if you're the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young should have been playing in that game in New England. Get him as many reps as you can. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid he's going to get hurt? Are you afraid he's going to get exposed? If you don't play football, you don't learn how to play football. If you don't play football, you don't get in football shape. The Carolina Panthers have got to get it together. They are a great franchise. They are almost on the brink of losing. Charlotte losing the Carolina Panthers if they don't start improving with this new ownership group, etc. Get on the field, Bryce Young. I saw nothing from the Carolina Panthers that encouraged me. Nothing. Zippo. And that's bad, man.
And what about the receiver that they drafted at the end of the first round? See him either. I'm blanking on his name right now.
You talking about Leggett?
Yeah, Leggett. I'm not.
I think he's dealing with an injury, which doesn't shock me with the Carolina. I think he's dealing with an injury, and if he's not dealing with injury, he didn't show up on the field. So
Oh,
you know what? Let's get away from this game, man. I'm frustrated. Let's go
I
to
got
the. No, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
one point to make on that one. With the Carolina, there was one good thing. Jack Plummer, 11 for 21, 86 yards.
Okay, let's move on. The Detroit Lions against the New York Giants. The Lions, man, they're really kind of saving their stuff for the regular season. I felt bad for Hendon Hooker getting that concussion. You know, he just came back from the ACL from last year. I didn't really see anything too negative from the Lions. Of course, you know, like I said, they were in the NFC Championship game. The Lions were sitting at home after winning, 2 or 3 games. So I don't really have anything bad about that. Drew Lock, who I kind of gave a chance to, he came out looking horrible. DeVito, he did his thing, man. 8 of 15, 92 yards. But I think the thing that you want to talk about the most, and I think we'll agree, Eric Gray, New York Giants. Eric Gray, 4 carries, 52 yards, two touchdowns, 4 catches for 46 yards. Talk about him, brother.
Yeah, 13 yards per carry. So I think he did really well. I think I text you. Maybe he's the new Giants starting running back, but
Mm-hmm.
I think over there it'll be by committee. You also had a Dante Miller who 12 carries, 63 yards, 5.3 yards a pop. Tyrone Tracy, the rookie, was from Purdue, I do believe. I want to say,
Yeah,
uh,
from Purdue. Yep, he was fifth round. Yep, fifth round pick out of Purdue. In 2014, in the 166th pick by the New York Giants out of Purdue, the Boilermakers. His
yeah,
birthplace, Indianapolis, Indiana.
5 carries, 26 yards, 5.2 yards a pop. So I think
Yep.
they did well today. Tommy DeVito making his case for a good, to remain a good backup
Yeah.
into the league. So, and the Giants defense also got sacks on the day. So, um,
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm so glad you reminded me of that. Let me go back. Let me go back to my information here because I wanted to talk about something. Deontay Johnson popped. Like Skip Bayless has this saying, like, they popped off my TV. Deontay Johnson, number 54 out of Toledo. Every time there was a play to be made, he made it. Every time there was something that needed to be done, he took care of it. I was really, really impressed by what he did the other night. Like I said, man, he came out there. He looked like one of those traditional linebackers. He looked like one of those guys that, you could look at him for a long time and say, "Look, man, this guy could be the real deal." Then the safety out of Minnesota, he flies around the ball. He played a decent game. He didn't really have that many tackles, but he made an impact on the game. So, I'm really liking the Giants defense. I like the way they were coming out flying around. Again, it's only preseason, but they were coming out, they were flying around, and they were showing some heart. And I really, really appreciate it. Now, some news on the Giants. Malik Neighbors had a mild ankle sprain, so it's a good chance you ain't seeing him next week. But Malik Neighbors made some, even though he didn't make a catch, you could see his speed. And I believe Drew Lock was in the game at the time. So you can see Malik Neighbors' speed. You can see that he has potential to do some good things. So
hey, he don't need to play for the rest of the preseason.
no,
Just
he doesn't. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Now let's go to August the 9th, which is 2 days ago. Let's talk about the first game up, which is the Falcons and the Dolphins. Going to the Dolphins, I think that their backup situation is so critically important because of Tua Tagovailoa and his injury history. Skylar Thompson, he's playing better. He's 27 years old out of Kansas State. He's been in the league a few years. He played the playoff game. Mike White had a decent, well, he not a decent game. It's 14, 26 yards. But overall, looking at the Dolphins, I think they went out, they did their work. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, the Falcons, on the other hand, I think they've lost two players in the last week or so to ACL injuries or some type of injuries, knee injuries. The thing I was impressed with the most is Michael Penix Jr. 9 of 16 and 104. He didn't even have his main guys out there. Yeah, man, Michael Penix is going to be the truth. The Atlanta Falcons have trade bait if they need it. The Atlanta Falcons have trade bait in case the Raiders are like, hey man, we think we can use a quarterback to get in this division race. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But yeah, Michael Penix is the truth. I said it coming out the draft. He's the truth.
did you see that pass that he had on the receiver was going on that wheel route?
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. Like a tear, it's like it dropped right there in his hands. Like that was a beautiful NFL level throw. I
Mm-hmm.
was in the college football playoff. I think
Yeah,
I had wrote a post that said that was an NFL level throw. You agreed,
definitely.
but that he is clear cut the backup. Now the players that need to play for the rest of the season. I mean, for the rest of the preseason. I feel like Kirk Cousins need to get some reps. And then you got this backup situation with Nathan Rourke, who was 3 for 13, 37 yards, and
Mm-hmm.
Taylor 4 for 11 for 11 yards. What the hell?
Yeah. So let me say this, and people you call me might think I'm crazy when I say this. I think Davis Mills has a future in this league. I think Davis Mills has a future in this league. I think that if he continues to perform decently in the preseason, I think that he can go to a team and be a really good back. I'm not saying he'll be like the next what was the Raiders quarterback? I'm not gonna say he'll be like the next Gannon or anything, but when Gannon went to the Raiders at time the Oakland Raiders and took them to the playoffs, took them to the Super Bowl, blah blah blah. But what I'm saying is, I think Davis Mills can still be a really good quarterback in this league if he can get with the right tutelage. He's only 25 years old. Now, let me say this. Justin Fields, 5'6", 67 yards. Decent game, but he fumbled twice. That don't help his that does not help his cause not one bit. It does not help his cause one bit. When you fumble and you turn the ball over, and you're trying to beat out a Hall of Famer. People can say whatever they want about Russell Wilson. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's got as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers. He's got more Super Bowl appearances than Aaron Rodgers. And if not for a stupid call, he'd have 2 championships. He's feet away from 2 championships. Justin Fields doesn't have that resume. His resume he can't hold a candle to Russell Wilson's resume. So, yeah. Now, let's go to the next game, Eagles and Ravens. Here's the other thing I want to talk about. I know Jalen Hurts was probably hurt last year, but here's the thing, man. I told you this, and I think you even thought I was crazy. Jalen Hurts better be very careful because Kenny Pickett finally has a team where he has weapons. I was never a Kenny Pickett guy, but I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts needs to play in the preseason because what did Jalen Hurts do last year? 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. I understand that Eagles fans get very emotional when we talk about their quarterback and you say, oh, man, Jalen Hurts needs work. He does need work, man. Let's be honest. Listen, if Jalen Hurts does not come out this year and have at least 30, 35 passing touchdowns, do you see how many weapons this man has? It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous how many weapons the Eagles have. Mind you, they have Julio Jones as a sixth option. 5th or 6th option. Julio Jones. Just Julio Jones. Even though he's older, you still got. Just imagine being a cornerback, a nickel, and you're looking. You're like, oh wow, look at that. I'm a linebacker, and I got to go against Julio Jones in the slot. He's the 5th receiver. You understand what I'm saying, man? Like, come on now. And I just noticed tonight they lost Boston Scott. Oh, here's another thing I was going to mention. Why the hell didn't Saquon Barkley take a snap? I didn't know he was a Hall of Famer. I didn't know Saquon Barkley was that great that he could sit out preseason. I mean, what is Saquon? And before people get on me about his offensive line, go look at Barry Sanders' line. Go look at Barry Sanders' quarterbacks. Okay?
Do you really put Saquon in a situation with already injury prone to get reps in the preseason game?
Well, I tell you, I'm gonna put it to you like this. He better. I'm gonna put it to you like this. First of all, them getting rid of the running back they did from last year was stupid. By the way, getting rid of Swift was dumb. They didn't feed him the ball enough. And I'm gonna tell you something. A guy like Will Shipley, if he gets his opportunity, I tell you one thing, it's gonna be a running back by committee because he got Saquon Barkley, quote unquote, got paid. But those contracts in the NFL are kind of funny thing. You can have them today and be gone tomorrow.
Oh, Will Shipley had an old tug, 1 catch, 7 yards, 7 carries, 23 yards. Not eye popping, but it was productive. So even John Ross, who was drafted a long time ago, 3 catches, 28 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be a guy that's going to be on the 53-man roster, but positive show out in the preseason game.
You talking about Shipley or Ross?
I was talking about Ross.
Ross. Oh, well, see, Ross can return kicks. See, that's the thing with these new rules.
True.
Hey, with this. Hey, look, but here's the thing. We were talking about this earlier too. Even a team like the Eagles, what I would start to do if I was an NFL teams? It's the first thing I would do. I would get myself some big old athletic offensive linemen. I would get them to set a wedge on their kickoff. It would be like a straight running play. So by the time the run back gets to the second level, all he got is the kicker. Because honestly, that's how easy they're making it. All you got to really do is set a wedge. Get some big dudes out there who are athletic, especially in today's game. Sheesh. Talking about go ahead.
I said to myself that it's going to be 3 teams that I know of right now. It's going to be top 5 in special teams, whether that's special teams offense or special teams defense. It's going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Ravens, and I believe it's going to be the Jaguars somewhere. Like those are going
Yeah.
to be good special teams right there.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the
Uh,
Ravens, there's just 2 names I need to bring up: Nate Wiggins and Trenton Simpson. Good
yeah,
God, good
yeah,
God.
Nate,
Listen, man, they somehow got Trenton Simpson in the 3rd round of the 2023 draft, 86th pick, bro. He gonna have at least 150 tackles this year, probably about 10 sacks, 4, 5, 6, 7 sacks. He is gonna be, and then Nate Wiggins, man. He injured his shoulder, but for them to get him, but for the Ravens to get him at number 30, just like they got Lamar Jackson in the 30s, it's just
come on.
the rich get richer, bro.
It's not even fair.
Not fair.
When I see things out there making plays, I'm like, man, wow. Like what's Marlon Humphrey has got to be smiling, and
Mm-hmm.
on the other side, and
Yeah,
then you get with Trenton Simpson. I mean, you drafted him last year. Isn't Baltimore like a farm system for linebackers?
pretty
And it's just
much.
a linebacker, you stash him. He might play, some. He might make a play or two, in the regular season the year before, when he got drafted. But then the next year, that's when he blossoms. He had 11 tackles. Like
Yeah,
Baltimore is the pedigree of a true organization.
yeah.
And then, no point, Jake Elliott. Is Jake Elliott a top 5 kicker in this league?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. So let's get to the Giants. Let's get to the Jets and the Commanders. Tyrod Taylor only threw 2 passes, completed 1 for -1 yard. Adrian Martinez coming over from Birmingham in the new form UFL out of Kansas State. He's only 24. He was 6 of 10 for 104. The Commanders, you know, uh, Jaden Daniels, he had a pretty good game, but see, was 2 for 3, 45 yards, and he had a rushing touchdown. My concern is Sam Hartman had a good game, and sooner or later, the Commanders fans are gonna want Sam Hartman to start. I just said, look, man, you know what happens every day. It happened with RG3. It happened with Dwayne Haskins. It happened with all these quarterbacks, man. It's like it happened with Sam Howell. It's like I'm just looking. I'm just waiting. Like I am just waiting for the fans to start screaming for Sam Hartman. I'm waiting for Jaden Daniels to have a bad game so they can start screaming. They do it every freak, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just speaking the facts here. Am I right?
Yeah.
Didn't it happen with RG3? They wanted Kirk Cousins when RG3 was struggling a little bit. I mean, this team has a history, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
They got a history, so yeah.
I think the tight end that they drafted, Ben Sinnott, I think he's going to be a big piece of their offense.
Definitely.
I think he's going to Luke McCaffrey, 2 catches, 25 yards. But, I think he's going to be very productive.
He's
and
decent.
Then you got a guy like Michael Wiley who made some plays, 8 carries, 34 yards, a touchdown, 4.3 yards a pop. This is what I want to say, though. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen is going to intimidate a lot of teams. I am telling you that right now. It is going to be dangerous.
Most definitely. Let's get to the Bears and Bills. Josh Allen, 2 of 3, 22 yards. Frank Gore, yes, Frank Gore's son, had 7 carries for 21 yards. Please develop him and do not take him for granted. Let that man develop. But the biggest story is Caleb Williams, 4 of 7, 95 yards. He had a long of 42. There was a person that said something the other day. Their name will be nameless because I don't want to diss them or nothing. But person said they was like moi, didn't mean anything. And then I heard somebody say that Mr. Tyson Bagent is better than Caleb Williams and that he would replace him. And I just sat back and I could laugh. I didn't even respond to it on Facebook. People just say people say anything these days. Caleb Williams came out and said he was doing the same diet as Tom Brady. People laughed at it. I mean, what is people's deal with this guy? I mean, USC has been irrelevant for years, and this man had them on the brink of the college football playoff a few years ago. It's not his fault. His defense gave up 2,000 yards a game.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think Caleb Williams came out and did what Caleb Williams was what he did, and he didn't even have all his weapons out there. People forget that he had Swift, but he didn't have his full arsenal of weapons. So, what
Yeah,
do you think?
Bears defense,
It's gonna
they
be a
got
problem.
it's gonna be yeah. How many sacks did they have? They had a lot of sacks today. Well, yesterday, but I think that they're gonna be a complete team coming in there in the near future. Just give them.
Oh, most definitely. I think the Bears are going to especially when you get a guy like Montez Sweat when the Commanders gave him up for basically nothing. Oh yeah, they had 8 sacks. I
8.
don't care. I don't care for 34 yards. I don't care if it's preseason or not. You're doing something. Now, let's get to the Raiders and the Vikings. Larry, people can talk about, man, I'm telling you right now, something about this Gardner Minshew, man. One of these days, he going to get hot and he going to lead somebody to the playoffs. I think this could be the year. That offense with Madison at the running back, I mean, they have their running back by committee, of course, with McCormick and etc. But that daggone Brock Bowers, he had 2 catches for 25 yards, and it looked so good. It just looked good. Trey Tucker, he had a decent game out there. He had 2 catches for 73 yards. The Raiders' defense, though, they were flying around. They actually picked off J.J. McCarthy. Then they went off the field, and that's when J.J. started going off. Everyone knows I'm not a fan of J.J. McCarthy, but I'm going to give him his due. He played a good – after the interception, he came back. He was 11 of 17, 188, 2 touchdowns. He did a good job, and I have to give him that. The Vikings came back, and they won the game late, I believe. It was by a field goal or whatnot. They played good, and it was an entertaining game. That's one thing I'll say, Larry. A lot of these games were entertaining. What was also entertaining was Jordan Love, 2 for 2, 63 yards and a touchdown in Cleveland. That easy. Give your thoughts on the Raiders in Minnesota, and then go down to the Browns and Packers. I don't really have much to say about the Packers and Browns because to me it was all about the Jordan Love.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew 6 of 12, 117. I feel like he'll go into the season as a starter. And then as you at running back room, it's going to be by committee. I think that they're going to be one of the worst as far as running football. But
Yeah.
you touched on Brock Bowers. I'm gonna be honest. As a Bronco fan, I'm concerned. And I think their defense had 9 PDs yesterday. I feel like that back end of their defense is gonna be so special, as well as the front, because you got Max Crosby, as well as the other pass rushers, the other young pass rushers that you have up there. So I think that they're cooking over.
And they play for their coach, man. Hard.
And that's a coach who's won Super Bowls. So he knows all about the grind. So I think that's a match made in heaven right there. We'll see where that goes. As far as Minnesota, uh, what we're gonna talk about Tristan Jackson 4 for 100, and a touchdown. Yeah, I guess you add him to the room. The running back room I feel is gonna be by committee as well. Even though you had a special teamer step up with Kane and Nangwu. I don't mean to disrespect the name, but 5 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown, 10.4 yards a pop. So he's been on that team for like the last 3 years or so as a special teamer, and hopefully this is the year that he steps up and be have more of a role in the offense. You touched on the Alabama guy, Dallas Turner.
Oh, Dallas Turner was Dallas Turner popped. I forgot to even mention that. Yeah, he popped off the television, and for Minnesota to get him the way they got him, which I'll say he was a top 10 pick for them to get him the way they did, it's more significant than J.D. McCarthy because, like I said, I need McCarthy to do this against the starters. He threw a bad pick against the starters. They go out and then he starts to play well. But Dallas Turner, man, I'm telling you, that guy's different, man. That guy is different. Dallas Turner is gonna be an absolute problem. And I said that every quarterback in NFC North better watch out. I meant it.
Yeah, the sack and 2 quarterback hits. So that's what a way to start your
Yeah.
NFL career.
Yeah. As far as the Browns and Packers go, like I said, I have much to say. Jordan Love came out and did his thing. The Browns got quarterbacks for days. They got Jameis Winston. They got Huntley. They got Dorian Thompson Robinson. In case Deshaun Watson gets hurt again. So not much to say too much about that game. 49ers and Titans. I thought that Brock Purdy was going to play. I thought that Brock Purdy should have played. Because again, he didn't get the job done last year, and Patrick Mahomes won the ultimate prize, and he's out there playing while Brock Purdy isn't. Get him out there. Let's see what he has going on. I was surprised for Mason. Well, no, I wasn't surprised. Mason Rudolph always has a decent preseason. 10 of 17, 126. Malik Willis threw for 38, ran for 42. Let's see here. Tony Pollard, 4 carries, 35 yards, pretty decent on the ground. I liked what he did there. Man, the 49ers, they just gotta stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for San Francisco. I don't really put too much stock in their preseason because I need to see them be healthy. Now, I will say this: Josh Dobbs being on their team is very interesting because they could think of packages for him all day long, just in case. And and let's just say Brock Purdy did get hurt, or Brock Purdy had to go out because of some type of injury, blah blah blah. Hopefully he doesn't. But these would be the most weapons that he's ever had. Josh Dobbs, if he ever gets this opportunity. 49ers.
And he's more. I would say he's more mobile than Brock Purdy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So and yesterday 14 of 20 of 146. He played pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, I agree.
You hear it all the time. You hear the story. You put anybody in a San Francisco 49er offense and they'll thrive. Well, if something happens to Purdy, pray to God it doesn't. But you got Josh Dobbs coming in who's got experience. Experience counts, and you put him in the right system. So I think it could be a good year for him if he has the opportunity.
Now, going to the next game, Tampa and Cincinnati. I'm just going to point out 2 things. First of all, 3 things actually. First of all, I think Baker should have played because, even though he had a really good year last year, we know what happens when Baker gets paid, and he gets a little bit too comfortable. Number 2, Joe Burrow played, and he did well, but he's going to need some more work. I feel like continue to get some more work. And number 3. The Cincinnati Bengals losing Joe Mixon they have not blown that up, but that's a bigger deal than what people think it is. Because if you look at their numbers yesterday, the second leading rusher was Logan Woodside, who's a quarterback. And then you had Williams, who had 3 carries for only 7 yards. Trayvon Williams. The Bengals running back situation is very iffy right now. So basically, I think they're going to be looking on the free agent market or maybe even a possible trade. They're going to need like a Christian McCaffrey type trade to really solidify that backfield because losing Joe Mixon is a huge deal. Remember, they don't have Joe Mixon against the Buffalo Bills a couple years back. They're not beating the Bills.
I guess they're looking at Zach Moss as that type of running back, because Zach Moss did have a good season last year, but how sometimes it'll work out. So but
true, and that's what I'm saying. And I should have mentioned Zach Moss, but see, my issue with the Bengals is that I don't know if they're gonna stay healthy, man. I don't know if they're gonna stay healthy. Like that's always the issue. And then when you have your best receiver and Chase who's sitting out right now because I believe it's a contract situation, which I don't blame him. I mean, the Bengals have been cursed for a long time. They just had some good luck the last few years. But a lot of the national media refused to talk about Joe Burrow was hurt last year, man. He didn't play well. He did not play well. So I mean, who knows? So
3 for 82 in a touchdown. I feel like it's going to be a receiver that's going to be in trouble over there. I don't know if it's going to be Jamar Chase, but maybe T. Higgins, so maybe a big trade will happen. But Jermaine Burton, I think you touched on before as well. He gets going. I'm telling you. Also with Andre Silvius, where I apologize off the mispronunciation of your name.
And which team were you talking about? The Bengals are.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
So Burton, if Burton gets going, and then you got the other kid that they drafted last year,
Mm-hmm.
with
We'll see. I want to mention that because I did say something to you about Jermaine Burton. I think he's gonna be really good. So eventually, their room is gonna get too full because you can't have 4 or 5 good receivers. So eventually, somebody's got to make a decision.
yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have to make a decision. And like you said, and you were talking about Levius, who's out of Princeton. He's a 6th round pick, but he could be one of those sneaky game changers. Uh, Not too much to talk about with the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Honestly, it felt like the Jaguars. It felt like this was a playoff game for them. Honestly, it felt like to their fans because of everything that went on last year. Trevor Lawrence 3 or 4, 42 yards, a touchdown. Um, I'll continue to say this: Travis Etienne, if he's going, then Trevor Lawrence goes because that is the guy who gets him going. If people really watch, or if people really watch, over the years, I was kind of impressed by Chris Olaquan. Olaquan, he was a 7th round pick in 2022 by the Steelers out of South Dakota State. He played a decent game for the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, as you know, Carson Wentz played 4-4, 26 yards. Patrick Mahomes played. It looks like Hollywood Brown sustained an injury, which is not a good thing because he went to the hospital for a shoulder injury. That's not a good thing. And as you know, that injury bug has been hitting Hollywood Brown for a while now. He's 27. He'll be 28 next year. Let's hope that he gets back very soon. But, hey, after last year's fiasco, I don't think the Chiefs are really worried about it.
No, next man up.
Next man up, yep. Chargers and we're going to start to go a little bit quicker here. Chargers and Seahawks. My biggest takeaway, Sam Howell, 16 of 27, 130, a touchdown. Played a good game. My biggest take out of this, the Chargers are in some deep trouble. Listen, even from a preseason game, I can tell you the Chargers are in trouble, especially with Justin Herbert having that foot injury. They're in trouble. Saints and Cardinals. Spencer Rattler led a game-winning drive. Around 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, that was a horrible pass interference call. If that happened in the regular season, man, people would have lost their mind. If people don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the Saints and Arizona game. Go to about 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Horrible. And that's a veteran. Referee as well. That was a horrible call. Clayton Tune, he played a decent game. I like what he did. 15 of 24, 163 and a touchdown. Really competitive game here. So yeah, really competitive game. What are your thoughts on the Cardinals and Saints?
4 for 85. He had a nice game. So wide receiver from last year. I was expecting Trey Benson to have a decent game, 2.6 yards a pop. So I mean, it's just the first preseason game, but we'll see what happens next week. Desmond Ridder just a disaster.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Desmond Ridder, I cheer for him coming out of Cincinnati. I want him to do well, but it's just not looking like it's going to work itself out, unfortunately. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And Derek Carr better watch his back. He better be consistent this year. We're going to skip ahead to the Cowboys and Rams because, quite simply, yes, Bennett threw the game-winning touchdown. Stetson Bennett threw the game-winning touchdown, but he had 4 picks. And somehow Dallas lost the game. He had 4 picks. Trey Lance was 15 of 40. He threw the ball 41 times. So basically Jerry phoned down and said, I want to see what Trey Lance can do. 15 of 20, 25 of 41, 188. No touchdowns. He had 6 carries for 44 yards. His receivers did let him down in this game. Let's see here. Marquise Bell, he popped on my screen again for the Cowboys. He's going to be a really good player in the future. Overshown, I like what he did. But I think what impressed me the most in this game was the Rams defense, because despite Bennett throwing 4 picks, man, that defense, and then you had Whittingham, who's out of Texas, people forget that he was a 6th-round pick. He was a 6th-round pick by the Rams. He was just in the shuffle because he was with all those other great receivers. But that Rams defense is deep. Even with Aaron Donald gone, which is going to be a huge loss, that team is so daggone deep, man. It's crazy how deep the Rams are and how physical they are. The 49ers better be very careful.
Yeah, this is my prediction. The Rams are winning the West. As I said that last year. I said that last year going into the offseason. The Rams are winning the West. They're just
And
deeper.
listen, I kind of doubted it a little bit, Larry, but I'm telling you, man, there's this, and it's not even so much on Matthew Stafford's shoulders. That defense, man, is so, like I said, so physical. And the 49ers are starting to have questions for me. Because without Brandon Ayuk, I'm sorry, you're not winning that division. If you get rid of Brandon Ayuk, because Ricky Pearsall is not going to come there and replace him. I'm sorry. I know that Kyle Shanahan's a quarterback whisperer and he's this and that. You're not doing it. No. This is your last dance, too. You better get something done with Trent Williams. The Rams, man, have some. Rams are coming, my man. Now, last game of the day, let's talk about your Denver Broncos against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, Sam Ehlinger, 5'6", 80 yards. Jonathan Taylor didn't really do too much, which I don't have any issue with. Mo Alley Cox is still around doing big things. He's now 30 years old, out of VCU, still doing some good things. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Zach Wilson, 10 of 13, 117, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Jarrett Stidham, 4 of 7, 37 yards, a touchdown, interception. I think that Sean Payton was just teasing us because then we have Bo Nix, 15 of 21, 125, and a touchdown. Isn't it clear, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give the floor over to Larry Patterson. Larry, can we just go ahead and say that Bo Nix is the starter? As I said, he was going to be the starter. As I said, that he was very underrated coming out of college. Can we just say that Bo Nix is the starter, please? Can we just say the starter, please?
Yeah, I believe he'll be the starter. Just the pass that he had in the end zone, it just said something to me. That the zip that he threw threw with it, Russell Wilson couldn't do that.
Hey, listen. I get it. But listen, Russell Wilson did nearly lead y'all to the playoffs last year before ownership was like, we ain't paying the rest of this contract. So it's two different guys. But like I said, Oregon, he came out of Oregon. I saw his strong arm. I knew that he could do it. I'm just wondering why so many people were doubting him when he was doing it at Oregon. I mean, if anybody watched Oregon last year, if it hadn't been for Washington, Oregon's in the national championship game, probably beating Michigan. You see what they did to that decent Liberty team.
Yeah, it's destroyed them. But yeah, now we just got to see what happens next week. This is a week to week thing, so I'm happy of what I've saw. 15 to 21, 120, 125 and a touchdown. I'm happy of what I saw. I want to see it against somebody else next week. And another player that impressed me was Audric Estime. He running back out of Notre Dame, rookie, 10 carries, 31 yards, one touchdown. He runs pretty angry. And I think our run game will be very, very good this year.
We'll find out on August the 18th. We got Green Bay at Denver. You got the Packers coming to town, who's a young, spry team. Hopefully, Bo Nix gets to start. It's an 8 o'clock start on NFL Network. Overall, man, like, what were your thoughts on preseason week 1? I thought it was competitive, really good football.
Yeah, damn right. Real competitive football. With this Bronco game before we switch over, I wasn't impressed with the damn game. Like, I mean, just in some instances you can still see that this is Denver Bronco football, but overall from the whole week, I feel like this is a good week. Good week 1 showing right here football. You got week 2 next. What happens, man?
Definitely. All right, before we get to our next our last topic here, where we're gonna basically tell people to shut the hell up. We're gonna tell the world how we feel. Let's get to this message here from Latoris. Hey guys, this is Robb Johnson from Robb Johnson Media. I just want to let you guys know Latoris, one of the best brands out there for activewear. No matter if you're hiking, running, playing golf, playing tennis, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you have on this right here, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, you feel good and your performance will be great. Latoris, check it out today at latoris.com. Yeah, message there from Latoris. Make sure you go check it out, latoris.com. Now, basically, Larry, it's a portion of the show. We're going to get to this. First, shut the hell up. Tell him, Larry. I'm going to say it first. Man, shut your ass up. You want to say it, Larry? You can say it too.
Shut your ass up, man.
So now, let's get to the next part.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
That's another little segment I got here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So who I want to tell to shut the hell up and stop talking is this person right here. This is, I pulled up somebody random. I don't know who he is. I don't care who he is, but I pulled him up random because he was just talking a whole bunch of craziness. So I had to pull him up. Let me take the screen off here so we can get the full thing. We got Jason at JBart405. He joined in November 2002. He said Chelsea Gray and Diana Taurasi over Caitlin Clark is a joke. And you can't convince me that the team couldn't have used Angel Reese's rebounding. Let me tell you something, you person, you Jason, you. This team's won over 60 games in a row. I've been saying that these ladies need to protest the Olympics. Don't even go. You know what? You know what I tell the committee? Go get some high school players. You know, since it's so easy, go get some college players. Because they won, 60 plus games? Gold medal? The world's getting better, and they want to get criticized? Talking about Caitlin Clark. First of all, Stephen Curry was clutch. When was the last time, Larry, you saw Caitlin Clark clutch in a big game? Can you tell me? When's the last time? Do you know? I'm trying to remember. Was it the national championship game? She got locked down in the second half?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. When was the last time Caitlin Clark was clutch? And weren't people complaining that they were being too physical with her? Could you imagine she was in today's gold medal game? There would probably been riots on the streets. You remember that? Remember the episode of the Boondocks when everybody went crazy? When Huey came out and said that the president was black? Remember the Garden special when everybody started losing their mind? That's what would have happened. The Garden episode, that's what would have happened. So please shut up. I'm not trying to be rude. Please shut the hell up. Now, Larry, it's your turn. I'm about to give you the grand entrance as well. It's your turn to tell somebody to shut the hell up.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
Your turn, my friend.
You know, for the immediate future, I want to tell people to shut the hell up. The people that criticize these preseason games, I went to a preseason game. If you're a real football fan, a fan of your team,
and if you analyze the game, if you quote unquote you analyze the game for real.
Yeah. So people like Robb that probably knows his. I'm pretty 99% sure he knows his team inside and out, depth chart, practice squad players, all that. You want to see these players have the opportunity to go out there and make something of themselves.
Yep.
No matter if they in the XFL or whatever. That's what preseason is for. So I hate when people sit here and say, "Oh man, it's you going to a game? You going to a preseason game? Oh, it's just preseason." Man, what? You know what my favorite time of the year is? When the 53-man roster is set for each team, so I can go through and I can.
And yeah.
Go ahead.
And you validate yourself when you did all that. You think we just do this NFL scouting for nothing for the draft, and then you hit on a player? Come on now, come on.
Right. right?
You
So
want to be able to.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying you want to helm these players.
Yeah. So, if a guy was drafted in the 7th round and he's out there in preseason killing it, I want to know where he's coming from.
Exactly.
I want to know his story. I want to know, his journey to where he is. So, like when people sit here and say preseason, like, no, man, because the preseason is a part of the season. It's a part
Exactly.
of the when you finding out about your team in the preseason, how good they are as special teams, the growing pains of them in the offense and in defense, like this, the depth that your team is going to build when it comes down to the trenches, when you're playing November and December football, when you're playing postseason football, all of this is the story of what happens later on in the year. So
Exactly.
I hate when people sit here and say, "Oh, it's just preseason." No, preseason is just as important. That's all I gotta say. Shut the hell up.
Exactly. So now we're gonna tell the world how we feel, and that this can be sports, as y'all know. This can be sports. This can be anything you want it to be. All right, Larry, tell the world how you feel, sir.
I ain't done what you. I want to sit here and damn preseason games. Like, cut it out. Go to a preseason game. Actually experience it. Like, I mean, you're paying less money than you would going to a regular season game. Go
The
out and
command
enjoy it.
the Commanders and Patriots are gonna be it's like $5 for a close seat.
Oh man, it's Friday night. Is it Friday?
I think so.
Oh man,
The Patriots and Commanders, $5 for a close seat. How can you beat that?
can't beat it. You can't beat it. And you're watching talent like Joe Milton, who had a great game. And I ain't gonna say great game, but he had a pretty decent game. You get to see guys. Drake May, 3rd pick. My man Jaden Daniels, who's the 2nd overall pick. You get to see all these different people, all these different athletes. Young guys coming into the league, future stars. You get to see them. Stop downing the. It's about to cuss. Stop downing the preseason.
Exactly. My tell the world is going to be very simple. It's going to be 10 seconds or less. It's like this. Everybody's screaming because LeBron got dunked on. Who won the game? Good night.
It's caught in the crossfire.